Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Bible Illustrated Hands. Today's question comes from Dan. His question is, hello Boyan, will we be able to see a loved one who has went to hell? Thank you for your question, Dan. This is actually a rather difficult question to answer because it pertains to our day-to-day existence, as it were, of us in the afterlife, whether it is of our soul after we die or after the general resurrection of the dead. And to be quite honest, we are not given much info. And even St. Paul says that we practically cannot even imagine what it's like on the other side. However, we are given some hints and traces of this. First, I will deal with the resurrection, and our life after the resurrection is described is in the book of Revelation, and of course, it is a book that is incredibly difficult to decipher. There are tons of layers of symbolism there, but the answer to your question implies no, because the damned sinners are simply thrown into the lake of fire, whereas the saved go into the heavenly Jerusalem. So the answer there would imply no. However, Christ's parable of the rich man and Lazarus would imply that we will be able to see and converse with our loved ones who are in hell, because in that parable, even though I doubt it is really a parable, we see that Lazarus, Abraham, conversed with the rich man who was damned. However, I would not see this as the ultimate response to your question, because it is clear from their conversation that their conversation is given as a lesson for the living. So Abraham, we have no reason to believe that Abraham would otherwise converse with the rich man except to give him the explanation of his punishment and why Lazarus in the end was saved. Again, there are many visions of the afterlife in the lives of the saints, but again, all of these are sort of a lesson for the living, so we can't actually know if we can, as it were, waltz into hell and simply converse with people there, or vice versa. In Lewis's book, The Great Divorce, people are sort of mingled, both the damned and the living, but they're so far apart with their spiritual states that they're simultaneously conversing, but they reach no common points. So I think that this might be one of the models that in the end might be true. However, I would turn this question upon its head and ask, would we even want to talk to our loved ones who are in hell? And of course, this is one of those extremely difficult questions to answer, because if they're loved ones, of course, that we will want to talk with them and converse with them, and desire even their salvation. And I think that The Great Divorce answers this pretty well. And I don't want to give you the rundown of the book, but it is essentially damned souls visiting heaven, and it answers a lot of questions of interaction between the blessed and the damned in a pretty good fashion, even though it is fiction, it is not a vision. However, I believe that Christ answered this in the parable of the talents. You know, when there are these three stewards who are given different amounts of gold or silver, that doesn't really matter, and they're told to work with it. And one of them doesn't work with that money; he simply buries it and returns it to his master. And the master takes that money, gives it to the steward who has worked the most, and throws the lazy steward into the dungeon. And he says, to whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whoever hath not, for him shall be taken away even that he hath. I had to read this verse because the way it is phrased in English is very strange. The way at least I understand this verse, is that in part, because there's rarely one interpretation, is that what you love with your loved ones is in the end a reflection of the image of God and the gifts of the Holy Spirit those people have within themselves. And when you go to hell, you're deprived of that. You essentially remain a shell, a husk of a person you once were, because you opted to reject God. And in the end, God makes us who we ultimately are. And when we reject God, well, we are mere shades. We exist as humans, but we are deprived of anything good that humanity has within itself. So basically, even if you can talk and see your loved ones, you have the option of talking with the saved saints, with your patron saint, with the Mother of God, with your guardian angel, with all of the other angels, and there's a lot of them, and all of the saved people, or you can opt to talk to a hateful, depressed, bored shade. So that barely resembles the person you actually knew. These are just some of my thoughts. None of this is basically dogmatic because, again, there's so much that we do not actually know. And again, visions give us very brief glimpses at this, but even then, they never show the ultimate glory and, sadly, damnation that we will encounter over there. I hope I answered your question, and if I haven't, maybe someone in the comment section can provide a better answer than I tried to give just now. Bye!